It's now been a month since Taliyah got reworked, and after playing her for a couple of games, I am now ready to give my opinion on it. So here it is. It's a failure. And when I say it's a failure, I'm not saying she's a bad champion. Not at all. If anything, she's way too broken right now, and I don't know what Riot was thinking. She went from this to this. As a champion, she's really overpowered. As for the rework, it's poo-poo. But before I explain why, let's look at what Taliyah was like before the rework. Taliyah was a very unique champion who had insanely high damage throughout the whole game. But where she really popped off was early game. She had by far the highest level 1 damage out of all the champions. You'd win almost all level 1 fights, allowing you to go for easy invades or take control over the lane before it even started. At level 3, Taliyah hit her first power spike, unlocking her ground and pound, as Riot likes to call it. This is when you could go for a big chunk of damage or even a solo kill. This is also where you could start to roam around the map and make some plays. Depending on your situation, you could do whatever you wanted to. You could punish the enemy bot lane who were pushing too hard, you could help your jungler invade, or you could go for an easy dive top lane. Taliyah was a very versatile champion. She could be played in every role and synergize really well with basically anything that had CC. You could roam all around the map and be proactive from the moment the game starts. This is what made Taliyah mid really fun for me. Even though I loved this champ, I was still excited when I heard a rework was coming. Her wave clear was doo-doo, she had big mana issues, assassin matchups were unplayable, and many other minor issues just made her feel like a bad champion. Nobody played her and she did need some changes. So let's look at the changes. First up, they nerfed her passive at early levels so she won't be able to pull off the early roams as fast as she used to. It's not the biggest deal, but it does add up with the other changes, so it doesn't feel great. Her Q now deals AoE damage instead of being a single target ability. I was really excited about the AoE Q coming back, resulting into better wave clear, less mana issues, and it feels a lot better in fights. To compensate for the AoE, they took a lot of damage away from her Q, which is a good thing, but they overdid it. They overdid it till the point she deals no damage at all until you at level 7. Just take a look at this.
这他妈有伤害吗？我操！不是，这前期就这个 BQ。
Once you hit level 9, your Q is maxed out. At this point you have no cooldown and very high damage on your Q. This is when Taliyah starts to become OP. They also added this thing called a boulder when you stand on worked ground. It slows people and it does way too much damage in late game. I mean, look at this. What is this, Riot? What is this? Taliyah throwing these boulders around every 2 seconds is just not balanced at all. As for her W, they removed the damage and lowered the mana cost and cooldown. Her W used way too much mana before, so it's a good change. They also made the hitbox slightly bigger, which is nice, because before it was kinda impossible to hit. So good job, Riot Games, good job. Onto her E. This ability is so unbelievably broken. The biggest change about her E is that it's now long and slim instead of short and thick. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I prefer short and thick. Nah, but seriously though, her E reaching all the way to the backline in most teamfights is just really disgusting. And on top of that, it also stuns now, so there's that. Taliyah's E is most broken in jungle fights where people don't have a lot of space to move around. They're either forced to go into your E and probably die, or they're zoned out of the fight waiting for your E to go away. Besides that, her E has a really short cooldown, so even if her E disappears, you can just place a new one in like 3 seconds. One of the biggest things I hate about her E right now is how her damage is divided. The initial damage of her E is way too much, while the damage of her EW combo is really underwhelming. This makes it so you don't really have to hit your combo to really deal the damage you want to. There's very little counterplay for enemies, and she feels really brain dead because of this. Her ult now has a dash when you jump off your wall, which is a nice little change. They also made it so you can't get interrupted by damage anymore, which in my opinion always should have been like this, but better late than never. Riot really messed up this rework. Her early laning is insanely weak with her abilities dealing negative damage. When I say her combo damage is underwhelming, it's an understatement. When I first played her, I couldn't believe what I was seeing and it was just so depressing to me. 50 damage on E. I hit my combo. What is this? 29 damage? I mean, how can she go from this? This guy's dead. to this. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Taliyah went from one of the strongest early game champions to one of the weakest. She used to be this really proactive mid laner who could roam and make plays anywhere on the map. By taking away all the damage she used to have early on, she can't do anything like this anymore. Now she's forced to sit still in lane, farm up, and once you hit level 9 you can start playing the game. Riot didn't just change her abilities, they changed her whole playstyle with it. Right now she feels so boring to play early game and so brain dead to play late game, spamming her Q and E like it's Earth. That being said, there is still hope for Riot to fix this. How is it fixable? Let me explain. Buff her Q damage early game, buff her E detonation damage, especially early game, buff her passive by a bit, nerf her Q cooldown at later levels, nerf her Q boulder damage at late game, shit has like a 90% AP ratio, it's just way too much, nerf her E initial damage, and lastly, revert her E shape or change it up so it's less long. The shit reaching all the way to Africa to touch little kids over there is just not right and it needs to be stopped. Please Riot Games, just listen to me, please. This is the most broken part about Taliyah right now and it needs to be removed out of the game. Also, please fix the animation on her E. I feel like it's really bugged that her E stuns people before the ability even shows, so yeah, please fix that. I've been talking down on this rework a lot, but there are also good things that Riot did. Her AoE Q, her mana issues being fixed, having a stun on her E, and being able to Zhonya's while you're in your Q are all nice little changes that they added. But with all the other things on top, it's just too much. As someone who's mained Taliyah ever since release and got Challenger with her for 3 seasons in a row now, I feel like I know best about this champion. And if a Riot employee does somehow end up seeing this video, I really hope they listen. Also, bring out the new Taliyah skin.